The projection of Democrats has caught up with them as they toot the horn of a constitutional crisis, and it appears that Joe Biden's cognitive and physical decline was a cover-up. Greetings, greetings, and salutations to all nations. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's your favorite Jamaican. I'm Rastafari over here of the Boots TV. Thank you for tuning in to the Rastaman channel. If it's your first time tuning in to the Rastaman channel, hit that red subscribe button. Fill up the Rastaman panel. Well, it appears that Joe Biden and the Democrat Party has been covering up not only his cognitive decline, but also his physical decline, because a day after Jake Tapper released his book speaking about the cover-up of the cognitive decline of the former president of the United States, it has been announced that Joe Biden has cancer and it has metastasized, meaning it's corrected to the bone. So it appears that the projections of the Democrats all these years that they have been or will be a constitutional crisis with Donald Trump has been a game of projection. The president, I should say, former President Joe Biden, career has come to an end after decades of public service. Well, in May, a spokesperson for the President 82 has announced that Biden has an aggressive form of prostate cancer and it has spread to the bone. They call it metastasizing. Biden diagnosis may have felt shocking to some, but it isn't a medical surprise, according to Jonathan Skinner, who studied the economy of health care and at Dartmouth University. Skinner noted that prostate cancer is one of the most common form of disease in men, particularly for those around Biden's age. Still, the story has felt somewhat familiar. A person finally retiring after a life spent in hard work and becoming sick. What continues to puzzle experts is understanding the complex link between retirement and mortality. For many Americans, research in the area is conflicting. Skinner say retiring doesn't absolutely cause higher mortality, and no one should worry about retiring. It could lead to cancer diagnosis, but evidence suggests that retiring and health are inactive, and gender, existing health condition, and other demographic factor heavily influencing their resolution. Now, that's not the speaking point that we want to make, ladies and gentlemen. What we want to talk about here is, isn't it a coincidence that Joe Biden seems to have developed this terminal illness right about when the explosion of his cognitive cover-up by his press secretary and his administration? His doctor also gotta be holding his head down, shaking his head, because if your job is to take care of one man and you miss a thing as big as prostate cancer, Mr. O'Brien, something is wrong. So skeptics are out there asking, is this a coincidence that Joe Biden is being exposed by the same media that covered up his cognitive decline, and all of a sudden he now has cancer, prostate cancer? Now, I am not saying that they covered anything up. Researchers and pundits are asking the question. So I am asking, do you think that his cognitive cover-up that's being exposed all of a sudden allowing him a wiggle room to come clean about his physical condition, or is this a game that the Democrats play as a news comes out, they drop another news that's bigger to push it under. Because if we had a president for 4 years that was cancer-ridden, terminally ill, and the press secretary, his doctor, and his entire administration knew about it and covered it up, that is the real constitutional crisis. And I always like to say, Democrats like to project. What they do is the same things that they're doing or planning. They try to project it on you. For example, they speak of a constitutional crisis, and right now, they have already proven there was a constitutional crisis because it appears that the president was not cognitively inclined to be the president of the United States. And now they're trying to cover up the fact that he wasn't physically inclined to be the president of the United States. We all saw what we saw. We saw the spills. We heard the gaps. We heard him call President Zelensky President Vladimir Putin. We seen him sleep on TV live. We seen him fall up the stairs off the bike. And we want to pretend that we never saw the cognitive decline. Well, Dr. Jill Biden must have seen the cognitive decline. It is being reported that Dr. Jill Biden and Hunter Biden were at many decision-making meetings making the decisions for the president. It's a shame that we are allowing these governmental heads to pull the wool over our head. Not our eyes, our head, because it appears that depending on who you are, you can get away with an actual constitutional crisis while accusing another one of committing one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rastafari Soldier here of Deep Roots TV. Former President Joe Biden has now announced that he has stage 4 cancer, a cancer that has been metastasized to the bone. Prostate cancer, that is, one of the most commonly diagnosed cancer. And it has metastasized, and many professions, many people in that field say it takes at least 4 to 5 years to metastasize. So it appears that we went through a presidency with a president that had prostate cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rastafari Soldier here of Deep Roots TV. Leave your comment on this one if you believe that the former President Joe Biden and his administration knew that he had prostate cancer and kept it hidden from the United States people. More life, more joy, and more nappiness. You stay blessed.